Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello learners, I am Dr. Rekha Sharma, retired Professor UGC Human Resource Development Center, Rashtrasant Tukadoji Maharaj, Nagpur University, Nagpur. In this video, we shall study post-harvest changes in fruits and vegetables. Fruits and vegetables, fresh or processed, form an important component of our diet, and there is an ever increasing demand for these. India being the top producer of both fruits and vegetables in the world, more emphasis is needed to minimize post-harvest losses. At present, about 70 to 80% of our production goes to waste, mainly during transportation and storage. A clear understanding of biochemical and physiological changes in fruits and vegetables during post-harvest operations will enable persons involved in handling, transportation and storage operations to regulate certain critical parameters. Now, categories of harvested plant commodities. The harvested plant commodities can be divided into two categories: cereal and oilseed crops and perishable horticulture crops. Cereal and oilseed crops are generally dormant plant parts, have low moisture contents 10 to 20%, are small, have low respiration and heat production rates, are hard in texture and have a shelf life of more than a year. The post-harvest losses for these crops are usually caused by external sources such as molds, insects and rodents. Perishable horticultural crops generally are metabolically active plant parts, have high moisture contents 70 to 90%, 70 to 95%. Repeat. Perishable horticultural crops generally are metabolically active plant parts, have high moisture contents 70 to 95%, are large, have higher rates of respiration and heat production, are soft in texture and have a shelf life of days to months. Losses for these commodities are usually due to internal factors such as rotting, physical damage and senescence. Now, post-harvest changes. Virtually all synthesis of organic compounds halts after harvest, but numerous physiological changes continue in fruits and vegetables during storage. Bulbs, roots, tubers and seeds become relatively dormant during storage, whereas the fleshy tissues of fruits and vegetables normally undergo ripening after maturation and then continue to senescence. Senescence occurs quite rapidly with an accompanying loss of palatability. Certain types of biochemical activities occur in all fruits and vegetables, including respiration, protein synthesis and changes in some constituents of cell walls. Now, let us know what is this climacteric and non-climacteric fruits. Respiration rate varies with the state of maturity and ripening in many fruits, with the rate increasing to a maximum just prior to full ripening, the phase called the climacteric. Those fruits that exhibit an increase in respiration rate just prior to senescence are termed climacteric fruits. They are distinguished by their ability to continue to ripen when they are harvested at the time that they are horticulturally mature but not yet ripe. Peaches, peas, apples, papaya, banana, mango, guava, sapota, etc. are climacteric fruits. Non-climacteric fruits are not capable of continuing their ripening process once removed from the plant. The respiration rate does not accelerate after harvesting. Non-climacteric fruits are best when ripened before harvesting. For example, dates, grapes, pineapple, lemon, lime, pomegranate, etc. Now, this table shows the classification of edible fruits and vegetables according to respiratory patterns, climacteric and non-climacteric. Now, for example, climacteric includes apple, apricot, banana, blueberry, then jackfruit, guava, fig, then papaya, passion fruit, peach, pear, tomato, sapota, etc. And non-climacteric fruits includes blackberry, cherry, cranberry, date, eggplant, grape, grapefruit, squash, pumpkin, pineapple, orange, olive, and other leaves, succulent and root vegetables. Now, senescence. We have been using this word very often. Now, let us know what is this senescence. The quality decline in stored respiring fruits and vegetables is termed senescence and results from the continued enzymic activity. A number of factors influence the senescence rate. Maturity. Maturity has an important bearing on their storage life and quality. This may affect the way they are handled, transported, and marketed. Maturity is the stage at which a commodity has reached a sufficient stage of growth and development. Maturity. After harvesting, the post-harvest handling including ripening, its quality will be at least the minimum acceptable to the ultimate consumer. Now, what is horticulture maturity? It is very important to know when fruits should be plucked from trees and when vegetables should be taken up from the plants for good quality produce. Horticultural maturity is the stage of development where a plant possesses the requisite characteristics for utilization by the consumer for a particular purpose. For example, sprouts or seedlings are horticulturally mature in the early stage of development, whereas most vegetative tissues, flowers, fruits, and underground storage organs become horticulturally mature in the mid stage, and seeds and nuts in the late stage of development. Now, indices of maturity or harvesting. The fruit becomes edible only after proper ripening has taken place. In contrast, in most vegetables, optimal maturity coincides with optimal eating quality. The maturity index for a commodity is a measurement that can be used to determine whether a particular commodity is mature. Harvesting indices are important to the trade in fresh fruits and vegetables to meet trade regulations and marketing strategies. Now, physiological maturity. Physiological maturity is related to the stage of development when the plant organ is able to continue its normal development, whether attached or detached from the plant, and usually corresponds to attainment of full size. Examples of physiologically mature plant organs are a fully expanded leaf that will subsequently senescence, or a fully grown fruit that continues to ripen whether on or off the tree. Now, physical changes at maturity. A wide range of physical characters of commodities is used to assess their maturity. Changes in size, shape, or surface characteristics of fruits and vegetables are common maturity indices. Vegetables are harvested when they have reached a marketable size and before they become too large. Banana maturity is determined as a change in the diameter of the fingers and their angularity. The change in surface, gloss or feel, that is waxiness, is used as a practical tool in harvesting some fruits and vegetables. Measurement of the development of the abscission zone. Repeat. Measurement of the development of the abscission zone at the stack of the fruit is possibly the oldest of all maturity indices. The color change that accompanies maturity in many fruits is widely used as a maturity index. Comparison techniques are therefore commonly used to assess the fruit maturity. Maturation of fruit is often accompanied by softening. Over mature vegetables frequently become fibrous or tough. These properties can be used to indicate maturity. Now, chemical changes at maturity. The maturation of fruits and vegetables is also accompanied by profound changes in their chemical composition. Chemical changes that are used for maturity estimation include the change in total soluble solids measured using a refractometer, changes in the distribution of starch in the flesh of the commodity and measured using a starch iodine reaction, and the sugar acid ratio, which is used as a legal maturity index for citrus and other fruits in some countries. Now, the factors affecting the post-harvest quality of fruits and vegetables. Two types of factors are involved in the post-harvest quality of fruits and vegetables. They are biological or internal factors and environmental or external factors. Now, biological factors include respiration rate, which is affected by first, breakdown of storage macromolecules like polysaccharides, fats or proteins. Second, oxidation of sugars to pyruvic acid. Third, aerobic transformation. The second factor is ethylene production. Third is transpiration or water loss. Fourth is physiological disorders. Fifth is physical damage. And sixth is pathological breakdown. Now, environmental factors are temperature, relative humidity, air movement, atmospheric composition and ethylene. Now, let us start with the physiological factors. Now, under this, the first factor is respiration. Fruits and vegetables continue to respire after harvest and thus can be considered alive. Respiration means the produce takes in oxygen and gives off carbon dioxide, moisture and heat, which influence storage, packaging and refrigeration requirements. Respiration is the process by which stored organic materials like carbohydrates, proteins and fats are broken down into simple end products with a release of energy. Oxygen is used in this process and carbon dioxide is produced. The loss of stored food reserves during respiration means hastening the senescence, reduced food value, loss of flavor, quality particularly sweetness and loss of sellable dry weight. Vegetables like spinach, peas, asparagus, sweet corn and mushroom have the highest respiration rate, while it is the least in dried fruits and vegetables, dates and nuts. Apples, beet, citrus, garlic, onion, papaya, pineapple and potato have a comparatively low rate of respiration and therefore better shelf life compared to other commodities. Now, respiration, we will now come to know what is the meaning of gas concentration. Oxygen and carbon dioxide are key gases involved in respiration and other metabolic processes within commodities. In general, Reducing oxygen levels and or increasing carbon dioxide levels reduces the rate of respiration. Because plant tissues consume oxygen and evolve carbon dioxide, simply sealing a commodity in an airtight container will begin to lower oxygen and raise the carbon dioxide levels within the container. Even protective packaging, for example wraps, and commercially applied waxes can generate modified atmospheres around and within commodities that may or may not be intentional. As oxygen levels continue to decrease and carbon dioxide levels increase, aerobic respiration slows to a point where it is no longer sufficient to meet the energy demands of the cell. At this point, anaerobic respiration begins to operate, supplementing total cellular energy production. As the tissue becomes more anaerobic, carbon dioxide production increases greatly because anaerobic respiration is much less efficient, producing only a fifth or less of the energy per carbon dioxide molecule released. The specific oxygen and carbon dioxide concentrations resulting in anaerobic respiration or tissue damage depend on the commodity, temperature, and so forth. Now, respiration. Respiration rate is expressed as milliliter of oxygen consumed or milliliter of carbon dioxide evolved per kg of fruit per hour. The respiration rate indicates the storage life of the commodity. A high rate of respiration usually associated with a short life. It would also indicate the rate at which the fruit is deteriorating in quality and in food value. A study showed that respiratory activity increased 1.7 times at 5 degrees centigrade, 2.8 times at 10 degrees centigrade, and 4.5 times at 15 degrees Celsius. Physiological maturity at harvest, the structure of the peel, the volume of intercellular spaces, and also the mechanical injury during handling have an influence on the respiratory activity of the produce to be stored or marketed. Respiration primarily involves the enzymatic oxidation of sugars to carbon dioxide and water with the release of energy. Loss of other compounds such as proteins, lipids, and organic acids is also channelized through respiration. Most of the physicochemical changes occurring in harvested fruit are related to oxidative metabolism, including respiration. There are three phases of respiration. First, breakdown of storage macromolecules like polysaccharides, fats, or proteins. The breakdown process is carried out by enzymes such as carbohydrases like pectic enzymes, cellulases, hemicellulases, and amylases, proteinases, and lipases. In many cases, it is also apparent that the metabolism of organic acids can account for a significant proportion of respiration. Second is oxidation of sugars to pyruvic acid. Respiratory pathways, namely glycolytic and oxidative pentose phosphate pathways by fruits are common to all plant or OPP tissues. Third is aerobic transformation. Pyruvate and other organic acids are aerobically transformed into carbon dioxide, water, and energy. This involves the TCA cycle and electron transport chain. The energy released as heat, which is known as vital heat, affects post-harvest technology considerations such as estimations of refrigeration and ventilation requirements. Moisture and heat can build up in storage and packaging, causing the growth of molds. Enough heat can be generated to damage the produce itself. At room temperature, some vegetables will liberate heat at a rate of 60 BTU, that is British thermal unit, per pound per day. This is enough for each ton of vegetables to melt 800 pounds of ice per day. The rate and pattern of respiration depend upon several factors like physiological maturity, injury, and storage atmosphere. In some plant products, sugars decrease quickly and starch increases soon after harvest. This is the case for ripe sweet corn, which can suffer flavor and texture quality losses in a very few hours after harvest. Unripe fruit, in contrast, frequently is high in starch and low in sugars. Continued ripening after harvest generally results in a decrease in starch and an increase in sugars, as occurs in apples and pears. However, this does not necessarily mean that the starch is the source of the newly formed sugars. Further, changes in starch and sugars are markedly influenced by post-harvest storage temperatures. After prolonged storage, potatoes, apples, bananas, and mango taste sweeter, whereas peas and sweet corn get tougher. This is due to the fact that starch is converted into sugar after harvest in potato, apple, banana, mango, while the sugar is converted into starch in peas and sweet corn. Respiration results in the reduction of reducing sugars, non-reducing sugars, and total sugars. Relative changes in the proportion of sugars and organic acids lead to characteristic flavor. Now, changes in pectins. After harvest, the changes in pectins of fruits and vegetables are more predictable. Generally, there is a decrease in water insoluble pectic substances and a corresponding increase in water-soluble pectins. Softening of the flesh occurs during ripening. Proteopectin is converted to pectin, and in overripe fruits, pectin is converted to pectinic acid. Additionally, the viscosity of pectin gel is affected by acid and sugar, both of which change in concentration with ripening. Now, changes in organic acids. The organic acids of fruits generally decrease during storage and ripening. This occurs in apples and pears and is especially important in oranges. Oranges have a long ripening period on the tree, and the time of picking is largely determined by the degree of acidity and sugar content, which have major effects on juice quality. As acids disappear during ripening, more than just the tartness of fruits are affected. Now, changes in color. Since many plant pigments are sensitive to acid, fruit color would be expected to change as the organic acid content changes. Color changes occur due to the breakdown of the pigments present at harvest and also due to the synthesis of new pigments after harvest. The color changes from green to yellow or orange-red in color is a breakdown of chlorophyll. Synthesis or exposure of carotenoids and anthocyanins pigments occur. Astringent property decreases. All these changes produce a pleasant flavor. Now, metabolic changes. Breakdown of protein and other polysaccharides and increase in lignin content after harvest results in softening of fruits and toughening of root vegetables respectively. Loss of vitamin C in fruits and vegetables during storage reduces the nutrient quality. Sprouting of potato, onions, garlic and root crop reduces the utilization value and accelerates deterioration. Seed germination inside fruits such as tomatoes, peppers and lemons after harvest is an undesirable change. Vegetables contain more than 80% water and some vegetables such as tomato, cabbage and cucumber contain as high as 90 to 95% water. As little as 5% loss in water causes many vegetables to appear wilted or shriveled, which make the vegetable tissue tough or musty, losing crispness and palatability and eventually unmarketable. This happens to several leafy vegetables and root vegetables within a few hours after harvest. Water loss is also associated with degradative effects on other vegetable components such as pigments and vitamins. Vegetables exhibit water loss mainly by transpiration through stomata. The structure of vegetables and the physiological age at harvest largely influence the rate of water loss, which in turn depends upon the relative humidity, temperature, air movement and atmospheric pressure of the environment. In general, the larger the vegetable surfaces to its volume, the more rapidly vegetables lose moisture. Water loss is the main cause of deterioration because it results not only in indirect quantitative losses like loss of sellable weight, but also in losses in appearance like wilting and shriveling, textural quality that is softening, flaccidity, limpness and loss of crispness and juiciness, and nutritional quality. The outer protective coverings, that is dermal system, govern the regulation of water loss by the commodity. Transpiration, that is evaporation of water from the plant tissues, is a physical process that can be controlled by applying treatments to the commodity. For example, waxes and other surface coatings or wrapping with plastic films, or manipulation of the environment, that is, for example, maintenance of high relative humidity and control of air circulation. The vegetables which lost water more rapidly and wilted appreciably tended to lose vitamin C more rapidly than those resistant to wilting. This has been proved in the research. Development of toxic pigments such as solanine in potatoes on exposure to light is also a characteristic unwanted post-harvest process in vegetables. Now, plant hormones. Senescence of plant tissues and organs as well as other developmental processes are controlled and regulated by interactions among the various part hormones. Repeat. Senescence of plant tissues and organs as well as other developmental processes are controlled and regulated by interactions among the various plant hormones, for example, auxin, gibberellins, cytokinins, ethylene and abscisic acid. Plant hormones are active at very low concentrations as important regulators of physiological events in detached plant organs. The ability of ethylene to trigger the ripening of climacteric fruits and generally promote plant senescence has led to the descriptive name the ripening hormone. Ethylene can also induce sprouting in potato tubers and is also described as wound hormone. because stresses such as physical or chemical damage, fungal elicitation, and gamma irradiation stimulate ethylene production. Ethylene is a simple gaseous hydrocarbon and is produced essentially in all parts of the plant during its development. Both these features differentiate ethylene from other classical plant hormones, which are synthesized in specific tissues or organs and transported elsewhere in the plant to exert their effects. Ethylene is a ubiquitous compound being naturally produced by plants, soil microbes, plant pathogenic microbes, natural gas, and burning vegetation. Man-made sources of ethylene include combustion of coal and oil, refuse burning, internal combustion engines, cigarette smoke, fluorescent lights, and rubber materials exposed to heat or ultraviolet radiation. Ethylene is flammable in air at concentrations between 3.1 to 32% by volume. Ethylene production. Ethylene, the simplest of the organic compounds, is a natural product of plant metabolism and is produced by all tissues of higher plants and by some microorganisms. As a plant hormone, ethylene regulates many aspects of growth, development, and senescence and is physiologically active in trace amounts, say less than 0.1 parts per million. Ethylene biosynthesis starts with the amino acid methionine, which is energized by ATP to produce S-adenosyl methionine or SAM. The key enzyme in the pathway, ACC synthase, converts SAM to 1-amino cyclopropane 1-carboxylic acid, ACC, which is converted to ethylene by the action of ACC oxidase. Ethylene production rates, which depend on the fruit, generally increase with maturity at harvest, physical injuries, decreased incidence, increased temperatures up to 30 degrees centigrade, and water stress. On the other hand, ethylene production rates by fresh fruits are reduced by storage at low temperatures and by reduced oxygen less than 8% and elevated carbon dioxide more than 1% levels in the storage environment around the commodity. Ethylene causes serious disorders in leafy vegetables at very low concentration. The diseased or mechanically injured specimens of vegetables produce more ethylene, causing excessive senescence of the vegetable tissue, and storage of such specimens with other vegetables should be avoided. In fruit vegetables such as tomatoes, ethylene causes fast ripening. Sprouting of tuberous and bulbous growth amounts to a loss of commodity as a vegetable. Sapota, passion fruit, and cherry moya have the highest ethylene production rate, while the citrus, cauliflower, cherry, grape, pomegranate, strawberry, leaf, and root vegetables, potato, cauliflower, banana, fig, guava, mango, lychee, and tomato have moderate level of ethylene production. Higher respiration and ethylene production after the harvest of fruit and vegetables reduces their shelf life at ambient temperature. Now, this is the classification of horticultural commodities according to their ethylene production. The classes are very low, low, moderate, high, and very high. The ranges are given here, and for each commodity it has been expressed here. Physiological disorders that occur in fruits and vegetables are chilling injury, freezing injury, heat injury, disorders due to pre-harvest nutrient imbalances, breakdown of fruits and vegetables due to very low, that is less than 1% oxygen, and elevated, that is more than 20% carbon dioxide concentrations. The freezing point of fruits and vegetables is slightly below the freezing point of water. For example, apple has a freezing point of minus 1.5 degrees centigrade. The freezing point may vary among cultivars or even depending on crop production practices. The varied amount of soluble solids is also one of the reasons for the variation in freezing point. Freezing injury occurs when fruits and vegetables are held below the freezing temperatures of cell sap. They get damaged, which is referred to as freezing injury. Chilling injury occurs when fruits and vegetables are held at temperatures above their freezing point and below 15 degrees centigrade depending on the commodity. Chilling injury is more common in fruits which are of tropical or subtropical origin. These include mango, papaya, banana, citrus, tomato, pineapple, guava, cucumber, eggplant and pepper. Chilling injury is manifested in a variety of symptoms which include surface and internal discoloration, internal or external, surface pitting, the appearance of water-soaked areas, necrotic, that is black spots areas, uneven ripening or failure to ripen of flavor development, and accelerated incidence of surface molds and decay. Fruits suffering from chilling injury sometimes fail to ripen when bring back to ambient conditions. Chilling injury is generally noticed after transferring to a non-chilling temperature. Heat injury results from exposure to direct sunlight or to excessive high temperatures. Symptoms include surface scalding, uneven ripening, and excessive softening and desiccation. Now, physical damage. Physical damage causes the greatest amount of loss to fresh horticultural crops. Certain most prevalent physical damages include surface injuries, impact bursting, and vibration bruising during harvesting, transportation, and storage. Mechanical injuries are not only unsightly but also accelerate water loss, stimulate high respiration and ethylene production rates, and favor decay incidence. They also render produce more susceptible to microbial invasion. Physical damage also leads to tissue discoloration. Now, pathological and entomological factors. Decay is one of the most common and obvious symptoms of deterioration that results from the activity of bacteria and fungi which are already present on the surface of fruits or vegetables. The cut and bruised fruits and vegetables deteriorate more rapidly than their wholesome counterparts. It is because the microorganisms get access to commodities through their physical or mechanical injuries and bring deterioration in the form of rot and softening of fruits. The known fungi during storage are Aspergillus, Penicillium, Rhizopus, Cladosporium, and bacteria like cocci and Lactobacillus group. Stem end rot is most common in mango, Alternaria, rot in grape, Penicillium in citrus fruits, Aspergillus and Rhizopus in most vegetables. Now, environmental factors. Temperature. Temperature is the most important environmental factor that influences the deterioration rate of harvested fruits and vegetables. For each decrease of 10 degrees centigrade above the optimum temperature, the rate of deterioration increases by 2 or 3-fold. The term Q10 is often used to denote the ratio of reaction rates with 10 degrees centigrade rise in temperature. Temperature also influences how ethylene, reduced oxygen and elevated carbon dioxide levels affect the commodity. The growth rate of pathogens is greatly influenced by temperature, and some pathogens are sensitive to low temperatures. Thus, cooling commodities below 5 degrees centigrade immediately after harvest can greatly reduce bacterial and mold rot incidences. Now, relative humidity and air movement. The rate of water loss from fruits depends upon the vapor pressure difference between the commodity and the surrounding ambient air, which is influenced by temperature and relative humidity. Now, air movement. Air circulation rate and velocity can influence the uniformity of temperature and relative humidity in a given environment, and consequently rate of water loss from the commodity. Now, atmospheric composition. Reduction of oxygen and elevation of carbon dioxide, whether intentional, such as in modified or controlled atmosphere storage, or unintentional, can have a beneficial or harmful effect on deterioration. The magnitude of these effects depends upon commodity, variety, physiological age, oxygen and carbon dioxide level, temperature and duration of storage. Now, let us summarize. India is the top producer of both fruits and vegetables in the world. Hence, more emphasis is needed to minimize post-harvest losses. At present, about 70 to 80% of our production goes to waste, mainly during transportation and storage. Two types of factors are involved in the post-harvest quality of fruits and vegetables. They are biological or internal factors and environmental or external factors. The biological factors include respiration rate, ethylene production, moisture loss, physiological disorders, physical damage, and pathological breakdown. The environmental factors include temperature, relative humidity, atmospheric composition, and air movement. The control of post-harvest losses includes controlling primary and secondary causes of losses. These are references. And with this, we have come to an end of the lecture on post-harvest changes in fruits and vegetables. Thank you.